Hello and a warm welcome to this special coverage on the Result Day Live, where there's unprecedented victory for Mahayuti in Maharashtra. And as the numbers stand, we'll show you on the graphic plates. It's the number goes somewhere around to 230 for the Mahayuti in Maharashtra. And if you look at the numbers in Jharkhand, where JMM and Congress is forming a government, JMM alliance stands at 51 and BJP at 29. But there's a slight change in the numbers here and there because the final figures are still yet to come. But I think somewhere the Mahayuti number stands at 230. But and it's very, very clear. It's a decisive mandate for both the states, whether it is Jharkhand, there it's a comfortable win for the JMM alliance. And as far as Maharashtra is concerned, of course, there's a brute majority for the BJP, where Mahayuti is forming the government. But what are the big takeaways? Because there were by elections also. What was the scenario in the by elections? And what are the big takeaways, both for BJP and the India alliance? We can't discuss all of this just in a short while from now, because the reports coming in that Prime Minister Modi will be reaching the BJP headquarters somewhere around 7 p.m., where he will deliver his victory speech after the big Maharashtra win. So let's get straight into the discussion. Joining me now is TK Rajlakshmi, Senior Deputy Editor of the Frontline. Thank you so much, Rajlakshmi, for joining. We have Dr. Shashi Shekhar Singh, Professor from the Delhi University, and also Dr. Sandeep Yadav from Delhi University. Thank you so much for joining. And we have Puneet Nicholas Yadav, Senior Editor with the Federal. Thanks, Puneet, for joining. Let me begin with Rajlakshmi today. That Rajlakshmi, as the numbers stand, of course, it's a happy story for India Alliance as far as Jharkhand is concerned. But what do you think are the big takeaways for India Alliance? Because already a lot of dissection has begun. That did Congress perform the way it should have been? What were the loopholes? What were the shortcomings? Where India Alliance lagged as far as the Maharashtra campaign is concerned, and also Jharkhand, where they could have done better. Also, lots of people are talking about that. So, according to you, what are the big takeaways from the two states?
See, first of all, it's quite interesting because in Maharashtra, nobody expected the Mahayuti to do so well. I mean, first to come back and then to do so well also. And in Jharkhand, everybody had written off the JMM in a sense. I mean, anti-incumbency and this whole communal rhetoric that the BJP had and its cohorts had unleashed, and of course, and also the lack of a certain compatibility between the India Alliance bloc. So I think that Jharkhand is a very pleasant takeaway. I think one of the biggest takeaways is the story of Jharkhand, how they have managed to hold on, and in fact perhaps they've done better. I'm not sure, but to sort of arrest the in fact the divisive narrative of the BJP and RSS. I think it's a big thing. I think it's a big achievement. I mean, frankly, all of us are quite cynical and a little bit not very certain about the outcome of Jharkhand. I mean, especially when in the morning when we were discussing how the Sorens were trailing, all the family members seemed to be trailing, right? And then suddenly everything sort of changed. So, which means that the uh, uh, the agenda, uh, of uh, of the NDA, let us say, did not really succeed to the extent it would have expected in Jharkhand. In fact, it failed. Let me say it failed. Of all the ST seats, of all the scheduled tribe seats, it only managed to win one. It just managed to secure wins on one, while both the JMM and the Congress, they have secured the bulk of the seats, at least on the tribal seats. And of course, they've also secured wins, on the non-tribal. I mean, uh, let's say the general constituencies, right? But of course, the same thing, does not repeat itself in Maharashtra. In Maharashtra, we have seen that many of the bulk of the tribal seats, ST seats, have gone to the Mahayuti and the MBA. Well, let's say, I mean, it has to be understood, what exactly sort of turned the tables, against the MBA, which everybody did feel that they had a good chance of. I think, irrespective of the fact that there were all kinds of heartburn, over seat adjustments, and several rebels, on both sides were told to sit down because the Mahayuti also had a problem with dealing with with many rebels. So what exactly went wrong? Whether it was a largely whether the Behna scheme that they launched. So what really turned the tables? And around 17 to 18%.
Rajlakshmi, since you mentioned about the Larki Behan Yojana, I really want to understand that you think that Larki Behan Yojana
Oh,
was the only game changer for the BJP, or were there other factors? Because just the Larki Behan Yojana, can that one
hello.
scheme in just 3 months' time can change things for BJP to this extent that they get numbers like which are just unprecedented?
Yeah, yeah, and almost of 48 to 49% of the vote share. Also, it's got a high vote share. If you look at the Mahayuti's consolidated vote share, there's almost a 15 to 16% difference in the vote share between the MVA and the Mahayuti. Around 17 or 18% has gone to what we call others. So in others, of course, there are the smaller parties, and also here it is where um, whether the India Alliance could have worked with these um, uh, smaller parties also, and whether they could have forged a broad front to avoid, because around 18% or so, which has been secured by the others, but around 80% or so has been secured by both the MBA as well as the Mahayuti jointly. So
Right.
so in that sense, there's been like a direct fight between these two blocks. But then there's also the fact that the some 18% also has got to be accounted for. So which means that there is scope. There are those other smaller outfits also, which could have been brought together. Yes, it's not just the scheme, the scheme alone, Ladki Behna scheme alone, but also the implementation of it. Yes, there are, I think, several things which happen in the run up to the elections. Let us not forget, money also played a huge role in Maharashtra. It's not that, and we also know of certain people who were caught, red-handed with crores of rupees. So there were in fact several things, and then yes, the I don't know, perhaps the narrative of the MBA as a whole did not strike a chord, and maybe they were yeah, and there was impression that they were not united, perhaps, you
Hmm.
know so they're speaking in different voices. There are several subterranean lessons that ought to be learned. But here on the other hand, there's also a lesson perhaps the MBA can learn from what happened in Jharkhand. I don't know the parallels exactly, but how did it work in favor of a government which everybody thought that is not going to get re-elected, uh, because of anti-incumbency. And here you have, both the states. What is common, in both the states is that they both have defied anti-incumbency in a sense. They have
Actually,
both defied. Yeah, they've got themselves re-elected. Of course, the Jharkhand thing, I would say, is far more significant, uh,
absolutely.
because in a more, I think, concrete and in a meaningful sense, it has set aside this divisive. It has shown, the limitations of divisive rhetoric.
Absolutely.
It has shown the limitation of divisive rhetoric. Exactly. Here, I think the BJP needs to draw some lessons here, at least from Jharkhand.
Absolutely. So I guess lessons for both the alliances, but just for a recap for the viewers, I would like to play the graphic plates again, where the numbers stand, what the final tally looks like. Let's play out the Maharashtra slide first, where you see Mahayuti. It stands at 230, Maharashtra Vikas Agadi 51, and others 7. So that's the 288 seats distribution as far as Maharashtra is concerned. Now let's play out the slide for Jharkhand. If you look at the Jharkhand slide, of course, where uh, India Alliance is forming the government, JMM plus Congress and RJD and several other parties they stand at 56, BJP, the BJP's alliance at 24, and others 1. So that's what the final tally looks like currently. I'll come to Puneet now. Puneet, you've been following both the states very, very closely. What Raj Lakshmi was saying that now there are questions whether we should be asking that did Maharashtra Vikas Agadi put up a unified alliance? Was their narrative suited better, or did it lose steam when you compare it with what and how the narrative was during the Lok Sabha elections? What is your assessment about the entire campaign, the manner in which they put up the campaign, the cohesion of the Maharashtra Vikas Agadi as compared to, of course, the Mahayuti?
Yeah, well, Nilu, as far as Maharashtra is concerned, there is no denying that there were problems with the way the NVA proceeded with its campaign. They did lose momentum. They bickered for too long over seat sharing, and even till the date of polling, there was bickering between Uddhav Thackeray's party and the Congress. Uh, the campaign itself lacked cohesion. What kind of a narrative they wanted to build collectively as an alliance wasn't very clear. All of that was there. I would still say that despite all that, the results do not suggest, uh, do not sort of reflect the sentiments on the ground. It shouldn't have been this kind of a tsunami that we're seeing in Maharashtra. And it's become a bit of a odd thing now, especially with certain state elections, that these tsunamis, waves, whatever you want to call it, landslide, they seem to be visible only to the BJP. Nobody covering the elections, no political leader, people who've been in politics for 30, 40 years, won, 8, 10 elections, they don't seem to detect this kind of a wave. It's only the BJP that seems to be so confident that, oh, there's a wave, there's a tsunami, there's a landslide. We saw that happening in Madhya Pradesh last year. We're seeing this now in Maharashtra. So, I mean, how how to justify this, I don't really know. But and it's pointless saying that this needs a deeper analysis and all of that, because I really don't think that any kind of deep analysis or whatever, if done objectively, is going to bring you to this tally. Uh, Having said that, yes, there were major shortcomings in the MVA, and those cannot be denied either.
All right. I'll come to Professor Sandeep Yadav now. Sandeep, how do you look at the results of the two states and also the by-elections? Let's not forget that there were by-elections in Uttarakhand, in UP, Kerala, several other places, and of course, yes, not to mention Priyanka Gandhi, who's won by margin of more than 4 lakh votes. So that's quite a number. And just a short while back, she was seen meeting Mallikarjun Kharge, the party president. Then just now, I think Jairam Ramesh and Pavan K also held a press conference. So I'll come to you now. Then, according to you, what are the big takeaways? And and what Puneet mentioned, that there's a strong mismatch in what the public sentiment was visible on the ground and the kind of mandate which has come now. What would you really say to that?
Yeah, actually, there is a great mismatch between the public sentiments and the mandate in Maharashtra. And the second thing is that Jharkhand, I will come to it later. But in Maharashtra, it's not the victory of Mahayuti. What happened? It's a mysterious election. In last Lok Sabha elections, which were held in June 2024, and the result came on 4th June 2024. The tally, the seats which MVA, Mahavikas Agadi, won, the assembly seats were, the number was 150. And for Mahayuti, it was 128. So what happened that between these 5 months, MVA, Mahavikas Agadi, has lost a huge vote percentage, and almost very poor so from MVA. What happened? We need to look into all these things. And BJP has also lost its 1% vote share. In Lok Sabha elections, they were above 26%. Now they are 25%. The Ajit Pawar's NCP has gained more than almost more than 3.5% votes. So, this seems to be a fixed kind of election, because there are certain things involved. Recently, we heard the news about the money distribution in Virar by Vinod Tawde, one of the general secretaries of Bharatiya Janata Party. And then we heard about the involvement of Adani and all these things, money power. muscle power, and the powers of the institutions like the IT, ED, CBI, all these things. There were raids during the elections also. So, and giving free hand to the ruling party by the Election Commission of India. All these things are very important, and these created a kind of great impact on this Maharashtra election. Maharashtra, I would say one thing very clearly, that this Maji Ladki Bahin Yojana, people are saying that this is a kind of game changer, but it's not. Actually, Ashok Gehlot or many other uh, uh, state governments who introduced far greater policies and schemes for the welfare of the people, they lost the election. That's why it is working for BJP and Mahayuti. It's a mystery. But as far as I can see, actually, it's a manipulation, management, and money power. So three M's. And these are the regions by which BJP or Mahayuti, like NCP. And I fail to understand one more thing, that how a person who was involved in a huge scam, in irrigation scam, Ajit Pawar, 70,000 crores of rupees, and then he was in cooperative bank scam, and then again this Eknath Sindhe. He was a mediocre kind of second leader who used to help Balasaheb Thackeray. Later, he was managed and made chief minister by BJP. So how can he be? How can he be the successor, or how can he claim the legacy of Balasaheb Thackeray? This is another question which the media houses, mainstream media houses, are claiming and proving, and saying, are trying to justify that is how people have voted for them. But it's not. Actually, that's not the story which is being shown to the people of the country. Actually, the subtext or the story behind is something else. So we need to look into all those things. We need to read the fissures, actually, the gaps, and then we can decode the real story. And the real story is that this election is not fair, and there are a lot more things which we need to reflect upon, which we need to look into, which we need to just analyze, and then we can come to conclusion. These are the things which are very critical, because what has BJP done for the tribals in Maharashtra? Because 9% population of the tribals of 9% population of Maharashtra is of tribals, and they are seeing the victimization of the Manipur tribals. They have seen a chief minister from tribal community being victimized by the central government. So how will they support? Why will they support? The second thing, the Dalits who were who voted for the MVA to save the constitution, why will they vote for BJP? Because the Dalits the Dalits have the high regard for the constitution, and they have been consistently suppressed by the policies of the central government and the state government as well. Take the example of that lateral entry. Lateral entry, there secretly the central government wanted to induct their
Right.
own people, its own people. So they have Dalits and the OBCs also. They are also not comfortable with BJP because they are very angry with their policies, because they have been befooling them for a long time, and that is the case with the Marathas. So who voted for them? And from where
Right.
did they get the vote? And these are all the things on which basis, I mean, that
Right.
is
But
very clear. Yeah.
right. Okay. But Professor Singh, I'll come to you now. And I was listening to the press conference which was held by Pavan K and Jairam Ramesh just a short while back. And, Pavan K said that if the people think that, we've got a victory in Jharkhand and we will not raise questions as far as the electoral democracy is concerned, so they are mistaken. We will continue to raise issues on EVM. We will continue to talk about the opacity of the election commission. This is all what they said. But do you think that they will be able to, come up with some credible questions as far as the electoral democracy is concerned? Because when they are not boycotting elections, when they are not taking a solid stand as far as the EVMs is concerned, so what kind of a narrative is it, and what kind of a talk is it if Pavan Khera or Jairam Ramesh make a statement like that?
Of course, I have not heard the press conference. You have already mentioned it, but my first question is Boycotting the election is not the solution in democracy. Time and again, I am repeating these things. You cannot boycott the election and then you will say that I believe in democracy. How far the electoral democracy or liberal democracy is concerned. So it's not the right thing. What you need to do is how to make the election free and fair. That's the question. So that the result must match with the people's mandate. What people are, want to do, and the kind of result that is on the board. So if you want to match it, then you have to make the election free and fair. And there, the role of the election commission is very, very, very important. How far the autonomy of the election commission, which is provided by the Constitution of India. So therefore, you need to reform the election commission. But the question is, again, I'm repeating these things. Who will do that reform? Who will do that reform? Even our judiciary has failed us. Once, K.R. Narayanan, who was the president, a former president, he was asked whether the Constitution of India has failed. He said, no, it is not the Constitution of India. It is we who have failed the Constitution of India. So that's the question. And the another question that was raised by the Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly, the question of constitutional morality. Unless there is a constitutional morality, you cannot ensure the free and fair election, and of course the
Yes. Singh, allow me to interrupt you, because the moment we say that this election was not free and fair in Maharashtra, then people start asking that where is the evidence? How can you raise questions like this? This is normally the answer. The very tried and tested answer is that how can you talk like this when you don't have any evidence? So how does one talk about electoral reforms? And I think you're right that why would the government go in for reforms like these? So, how do you fight out this menace then?
Now, the first question is, even if you give the evidence, will election commission consider it? If you remember the election in Haryana, the Congress has provided, at least, certain evidences in 20 constituencies. And even what happened? Election commission did not take any necessary action required. So how can you say that if you provide the evidence and the election question is this? There are constitutional bodies which has the responsibility to conduct free and fair election, and in case of violation of any model code of conduct or anything like that, the necessary action is required from the election commission. And if even election commission failed in doing the constitutional responsibility, then you will go to the court, the Supreme Court or the High Court, and the highest court, of course, the Supreme Court. And even Supreme Court, if does nothing, then what will do? Then the question arises here in the democracy. It is a people's movement. So let the people come forward and go for nationwide movement on the issues that is directly affecting the people of the country. Either the SC or ST or OBC or the farmers, or of course the unemployed youth and the laborers. Unless there is such nationwide movement, you cannot force this fascist government to go for any sort of reform. And what happened in Haryana, it is very clear. The ground reality was quite different. Everybody is saying that the ground reality in these states, was quite different from what the result came into being. That's the question. So what the people can do? Suppose we all are discussing here, raising various questions. Even we can provide certain evidences, but who will answer? Who will do something to correct it? Who will do? That's a big question in this government. And that how this government has captured, even in democracy, generally it is expected from the media, the fourth pillar of democracy, that they will bring the reality before the people. And now what the mainstream media or the major media are doing, they are also misinforming the people, and they are playing in the hands of the corporate as well as the government. So who will bring the reality before the people, before the masses? That's a question. And that is why we have to think about it. And we generally used to say that unless the political parties, those political parties are in opposition, they should go to the people. Unfortunately, more or less, majority of the political party, those who are in a position, they are not going to the people. They are just taking selecting the candidates for the election, and then they are going for campaigning and so, and criticizing the political party in power. So that's not enough. You have to go to the people, you have to raise question in the assembly or the legislature, parliament. At the same time, you have to go to the people, village to village, you have to go and ask. Even
Right.
you have to, generate the young leader who are working at the ground. But suppose somebody came from other party and you are going to give the ticket to that party, and many of the workers, those who are working for long for the party, they are still waiting for to get a ticket. So that's the question. So
No, no, that's a
definitely,
valid point. That's a valid point. But I'll interrupt you here because I need to go to Puneet, or the point you mentioned that the opposition parties need to go to the people. Puneet, now some very crucial questions. Haryana also we discussed when the election results came. After that, so many Congress leaders kept on saying that we've picked up our lessons from the Haryana defeat and now we will work upon them. But have they really worked? I mean, let's discuss the challenges which are there before the India alliance. No matter how much they may say that they put up a unified campaign, they did all what they could, but still there are a lot of shortcomings where even the Congress, the NCP, the Uddhav Thackeray's party, they need to work upon. So, if you could just list out, because you were clued into the campaign very, very closely, so if you could list out that where they fell short and where they need to work from now on. So, and then come to the by-elections bit. Yes, Puneet.
Well, there were various shortcomings, Nilu, and I mentioned them earlier on also, right from the issue of uh, seat sharing negotiations dragging on till the last day of filing nominations. While the BJP was all out campaigning. Okay. Now, of course, there are natural disadvantages that the opposition has. One is not denying that. But there is a lot that the opposition itself could have done. After they won the Lok Sabha elections in a big way from Maharashtra, there was a momentum that was there in their favor. They had a narrative that was in their favor. Please, I mean, if it has escaped my notice, please enlighten me. Between June and now, what is it that the Sharad Pawar's party, Uddhav Thackeray's party, or the Congress party, what is it that they did to capitalize on the gains made during the Lok Sabha elections in Maharashtra for these past 6 months?
True.
I mean, through this entire campaign for Maharashtra, did you ever see Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar, Rahul Gandhi, or Mallikarjun Kharge share a stage, address a rally together? Show that unity. And I mean, uh, now one understands that fine. It was Priyanka Gandhi's first election. She was contesting from Wayanad. There were various other factors involved, emotions involved, and all of that. And so, Rahul had to visit Wayanad. But be it Maharashtra or Jharkhand, look at the rather sparse participation that Rahul had in that campaign. He was, while the candidates in Jharkhand were struggling, and I know several of the candidates personally who reached out to the Congress High Command, asked them to send Rahul Gandhi or Kharge or Priyanka Gandhi or somebody from some major leader to come and campaign for them, and these the leaders never turned up, and they had to then turn around and ask Hemant Soren to come and campaign for them, who had the dual task of also campaigning for his own party. Because Rahul Gandhi was campaigning in Wayanad in the middle of the assembly poll campaign, he then went off to Raebareli to inaugurate a newly made Chauraha. Then he went to Hyderabad to address a convention on caste census. So if I understand all of that is important. It's important to nurse your constituency. It's important to go to Wayanad. It's important to, address a seminar on caste census in Telangana. One is not denying that. But then you need to also prioritize. If you are the face of your party's election campaign, whether it's Lok Sabha, whether it's Assembly, irrespective of who the Congress president is, then you have to do that heavy lifting. With Mr. Sharad Pawar, despite his health, despite his age, he was still touring the state. It may not have paid him any dividends, as the results show, but look at his participation in the campaign and compare that with Rahul Gandhi's participation in the campaign.
Right.
And the Congress was supposed to be the elder partner of that alliance. And then, fine, even if it was communal polarization, for the BJP and the Mahayuti, even if it was communal polarization and the Ladki Behan Yojana, which were the two pillars of their campaign, you at least know what those two pillars of the campaign were. In Maharashtra, please tell me one common strand of the campaign. In Jharkhand, the India bloc, the Congress's manifesto for the election was announced one day before the first phase polling. People from the JMM kept complaining that we are not able to launch our manifesto because the Congress hasn't got back to us. So, I'm adding to what TK said at the beginning in her opening remarks, that, it's rather unfortunate that a bulk of our discussion and any discussion on any of the channels is devoted to what is happening in Maharashtra, and we're all underplaying what's happened in Jharkhand. Jharkhand is a huge win. It's not just some consolation prize. It's, I can say that, fine, one may argue that it's not a huge win for the Congress per se, because to be very honest, the Congress's wins, whatever seats the Congress has won, the 16 seats that they have won, or one or two on which they're still leading, are a majority of that is because of Hemant Soren and not because of the Congress party. But the fact is that in Jharkhand, look at what all happened in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
The attempts to destabilize the government, the jailing of Hemant Soren, the defection of Champai Soren, the delay in the devolution of funds from the center, delay in the GST dues, delay in the payments for Narendra, administrative hurdles created by the governor then sitting on proposals not just sent by the cabinet but even ratified by the assembly and not clearing them. Despite all of that, taking that for 5 years, and then on top of that an extremely communally divisive campaign. I don't want to repeat the contents and I don't want you to show that ad again, but there was this extremely repulsive ad that the BJP put out targeting the Muslims and the JMM for being, for patronizing the Muslims in Jharkhand. Despite all of that, to get 56 seats, which is 10 more than what they had won in 2019, is a huge accomplishment for the JMM. And this is something that should make the Congress and Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray, all of them, as well as their leaders in, whether it is UP or Rajasthan, wherever, to actually sit and take notice and see how a campaign is to be run.
True. Yeah. But do you think that in both states, Puneet, and then I'll quickly go to Raj Lakshmi on the by-elections bit, on the complete picture of the by-elections, we need to discuss. But Puneet, does Congress then emerge as the weakest link in both the states, whether it is Jharkhand, whether it is Maharashtra? Does it look like, the oldest party now appears as the weakest party in the India alliance?
Well, see, there are two ways of looking at it. One way is what I would call the Congress way of looking at it, that they are the oldest party, they are the national party, and they are the fulcrum of the India bloc. Fine, I'm not disputing that. But look at the ground realities also. The ground reality is that for the Congress, I think they completely misread those 99 seats which they had won in the Lok Sabha elections. And I had written about it and spoken about it back then also, that this 99, to credit that this is only because of Rahul's Bharat Jodo Yatra and the Congress has bounced back and all of that, I think was a complete misreading of the judgment of the verdict of the Lok Sabha elections, because the Congress now needs, it is the Congress that now needs its allies. If it has strong allies who can pull their weight together and pull their weight for the Congress gains. If the Congress, because the Congress on its own does not have any great strength to pass on to allies anymore, and even in the Lok Sabha elections, you look at any of the states where the Congress was in a direct contest with the BJP, it did not perform well. It's only in states where there were strong allies that they maximized their gains. I mean, from these 99 seats,
Puneet,
if
from the way you are describing, I mean, there's one question which rattles every time the results come in. That why is Rahul Gandhi or Mallikarjun Kharge not able to address these fundamental issues which will strengthen the party? Like, say, for example, what happened with Bhupender Singh Hooda in Haryana. Everybody knows that. But why on earth was he not taken to task? Why did the heads not roll? They'll form a committee, and you yourself have said on many programs that the conventional idea is to form a committee. They will submit their reports after 3 months or even after a year. Nobody knows, and whether at all that report is ever ready or not. But the point is that why is Rahul Gandhi, why is Mallikarjun Kharge not able to wake up to these problems? When on earth will a party like Congress, start taking people to task on this?
Well, I think, as far as this question is concerned, and I'm sorry to say, but, pinning this blame on or asking this question to the Congress president is actually pointless, because it is not the Congress president who's running the party. And anybody who understands the Congress, who's seen the Congress is working, knows this. He is the face of the party, all right, in the capacity of the Congress president, and he's a Dalit face at that. So electorally, that may play out well for the Congress. But the fact is, you look at the Congress organization today. Look at people who are holding the posts in various positions across departments of the party or in the CWC. They're all handpicked by Rahul, and I'm sorry to say this, but a bulk of them are useless people. They're all a bunch of incompetent fellows who've run the party to the ground in whichever responsibility they've been given. And I can give you a whole laundry list of these guys, whether it is Jiten Singh Alwar, whether it is Mohan Prakash or Madhusudan Mistry, n number of these. And these are the guys who repeatedly get tasks of one election after the other. They'll be the ones who will be sent as observers. I was speaking to some of the Congress leaders today. In the Maharashtra elections, and also, of course, in Jharkhand, the Congress has this habit of appointing senior observers, constituency observers, and all of that. Now, that's fine, because the leader feels important that, I've been given a task by the party, and he goes and camps. Now, in Maharashtra, there are 6 regions. For each of the 6 regions, there were two or three observers appointed by the Congress. I was speaking to some of the Congress candidates across regions in Maharashtra earlier today, and they said that, all these observers who were appointed, and these observers were all senior leaders, whether it was Ashok Gehlot or Bhupesh Baghel or any of these guys, none of them moved beyond Bombay. They camped in their hotels in Bombay. They said, whatever inputs you need, we will call for them in our hotel room. They rarely went out, except if there was a Rahul Gandhi rally happening or a Mallikarjun Kharge rally happening, then they went to the rally venue. They hardly went to, oversee the campaign, to run the campaign, to help the candidate.
True.
And this is not going to change. Let me tell you that. There's no point in me even, explaining this, because this is how the Congress party functions. It's such an inertia-prone party that no matter what you tell them, it makes no difference to them. Haryana, right. It's been, almost 2 months now. They've not been able to appoint an LOP. Jharkhand, look at Jharkhand. I mean, and see why I'm repeatedly saying that the Jharkhand election result needs to be, Hemant Soren needs to be fated for this. Because Jharkhand, just before the elections, the Congress decided to change its PCC president. That new PCC president is not somebody who is wildly popular in the state. He didn't even contest the assembly elections this time, you know. And all the district Congress committees in Jharkhand are yet to be formed. There are no DCC presidents, no bloc presidents in Jharkhand.
True.
How that organization has managed to win 16 MLAs is a miracle, is a story on its own, you know.
Really sad state of things as far as Congress is concerned. But you used a phrase saying that it's an inertia-prone party. Rajlakshmi, I'll come to you now. How much of a difference will Priyanka Gandhi's entry now make? Monday, starting the Parliament session, we'll see all those optics being played out. Priyanka Gandhi walking into the Parliament with all the fanfare, maybe, or with some thumping by the Congress leaders, some cheerleaders would be there. But what kind of a difference will now both the brothers and sisters bring to the party? Do you see any kind of shake-up? Like what Puneet has described is a very, very sad state of things. And he's right that things are not going to change. Uh, and this hunger for change, when it's absent, what kind of a difference will now Priyanka Gandhi's entry bring into the party?
See, one or two elements can't really make the kind of structural changes that are required in the Congress, because it stems from a range of issues. There are a range of things. Self-interest is one of the biggest challenges that every Congress person has to address, because I don't think they see beyond the self-interest. And I think to an extent it also applies to the Gandhis also. So I think if they start looking beyond that and think, maybe in ideological terms, just like the BJP RSS does. They have to think in ideological terms as to what the party stands for. They have to go to the people. It can't just be this last minute interventions, and just also by forging I mean say good alliance, etc. All these things are just tactics. These are not the real issues that actually go into strengthening your party from within, into having a common approach towards issues. So these are the things that the Congress should be taking a leadership in. And yes, it should go to the people, as Professor Shashi Shekhar Singh said, because there's no alternative but that. You have to go to the people, because it is from there that you will get that support. It is not by issuing press statements every day and fancy and and all very using all kinds of sophistry, or maybe calling Mr. Modi the non-biological PM all the time. Really, all these things don't make an impact beyond a point. You have to see yourself as a serious alternative to what is happening in the country today. You have to see yourself as a serious alternative, if you want to provide an alternative, that is. If at all that objective is there, then I think the Congress, I think nothing stops it from putting a blueprint for an alternative vision, whether it is that of an economic alternative vision, whether it is that of an alternative political vision, right? I mean, and that entire the unfulfilled agenda that is there in a constitution of social and economic transformation of this country. I mean, who is going to do it? It can't be left, to the big corporates that rule this country. I mean, it can't be, there is an unfulfilled agenda. If the Congress is able to, I think, give the leadership in that direction, I think it will be good for it. I mean, for itself also. I mean, as a party. Otherwise, there's nothing really to hold on to. I mean, cadre-based parties will do what they have to do, and they will. I mean, for instance, left does not compromise on so many things, whether they win or lose. And they don't approach elections just from the point of view of winning elections. They go to the
Absolutely.
people. They are at the forefront of leading worker agitations, or whether it's farmer agitations or student mobilization. They have those mass organizations, right? And it's only because they do not have the backing of the corporates, and the kind of big money that the left does not do thoroughly. And besides, it's not going to make those compromises either, right? On the
Absolutely.
other hand, you have, on the other spectrum, you have an ideological party, a right-wing ideological party, which is quite happy to make all those compromises with the corporate to the corporate world. And at the cost of it, your people are at the receiving end. So who is going to raise the issues of the people? Isn't
True.
it? So here, I mean, if the Congress sincerely so believes that it has a legacy as the grand old party that it claims to be, that it has a legacy to take forward also, then it has to start seeing itself as a serious alternative. But
Right.
as Puneet said, for instance, Rajasthan also, the observers in both Gehlot and Pilot were in Maharashtra, and they were just not really, they're not really concerned about winning any of the seats on which they had a hold. And in fact, they just gave it over to the BJP on a platter. The India Alliance, it did not it completely frittered. I mean, in 8 months ago, they had fought the Lok Sabha elections together, and now they are not willing to concede a single seat to Bharatiya Adivasi Party or to the RLTP. You know, so I
True.
mean, and they came in third positions. So it's not that the Congress gained at that.
Right.
It lost. It's like, hum डूबेंगे और सलाम आपको भी लेके डूबेंगे, that phrase that is there, no? So somehow they
True.
did that. At the end
Right.
of the day, they just did that. So in Jharkhand, they could not, perhaps because there Soren was in charge. Soren was in the saddle, and he had to connect with the people. So where you have a connect with the people, I mean, some form or the other, you're able to sort of do at least something. So that connect is not just a one time thing. It has to
Yeah.
be a sustained connect. It can't be just a one Bharat Jodo Yatra and it's over.
Right.
Done.
All right. I mean, there are big takeaways, and Congress really needs to pull up its socks. And I don't know whether they'll do it or not. But we also need to discuss the by elections. Sandeep Yadav, I'll come to you now. That as far as by elections are concerned, several states went to the by polls. Kerala, of course, that's a good story of Priyanka Gandhi returning to parliament. But apart from that, UP, Uttarakhand, so many other states, West Bengal for that matter. What do you think is the big picture coming out as far as the by elections are concerned? Does it look like a win-win for the regional parties or for the India Alliance? How does it look like to you?
Yeah, it's a win-win situation for regional parties, especially Trinamool Congress in West Bengal, because after that RG car incident movement across the whole state, they have been able to win all the seats. BJP was hopeful to win some of the seats, but they could not. So they could not penetrate into West Bengal by elections. So it's a good news for TMC and good for the people who, you know, uh, who love democracy or who are against BJP's divisive politics. So, but in UP, the by-elections must have been cancelled actually, because the way these elections were conducted, uh, that's not a good sign for democracy. So I don't know what Election Commission of India is doing, but even then, Samajwadi Party is uh, looking to win 2 seats out of 9 seats. So they had earlier 4 seats with them. So now they have lost 2. But even then, in this regressive, oppressive structure, they have been able to win 2 seats. So for them, it's a a good victory. But it was not a fair election at all. And in other parts of the country, like in Bihar, all the parties, actually, Jan Suraj has made some inroads in Bihar politics. Actually, they've got good votes. I recently didn't check, but today afternoon I checked. So they were doing well actually. So it's a matter of concern for RJD and JDU. And in other parts of the country, it was a win-win situation for India, NDA. But I would like to make certain comments about Jharkhand elections and Maharashtra elections also. There was not complete unity among the Mahayuti parties also, like Gathbandhan Alliance. Because Ajit Pawar, as you must have seen him making comments against BJP and its politicians, its leaders, actually. So if we analyze the situation of Jharkhand elections, actually in 2009, Hemant Soren, JMM won 18 seats. 2014 they won 19, and 2019 they won 30, and now this year they have won 34. So they have been increasing their tally, and it could be possible because of their consistent work and BJP conspired against them. They started conspiring in January 2024. Actually, in on 31st of January 2024, they uh, made allegations against Hemant Soren that uh, he has done some scam, and they arrested him on 31st of January on PMLA, like this Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and they searched his Delhi residence also. They found some materials, and on that basis, they framed that those charges, and they arrested him. They put him in jail and kept him for 6 months, five to 6 months, and in this July he got released. And after that, there was a sympathy wave also with Hemant Soren, and moreover, there is 26.20% of population of tribals, uh, and the tribals are not very good situation. The state was carved out uh, to strengthen, empower the tribal communities, but unfortunately, the migrants from Eastern UP, Bihar, and West Bengal, and Orissa, they migrated in good numbers, and they have captured the space, especially the city space and the other spaces, and that's why the tribals have less space to just thrive and to flourish on. So there is a huge problem because the whole tribal population, out of that 20% stays in the cities, and
Right.
80% still stay in the villages. So the point was that there were certain organizations also. In Karnataka elections, there was a civil movement called Iddelu Karnataka, Wake Up Karnataka, Iddelu Karnataka. In the same way, there were certain organizations who formed a kind of organization, and they did a kind of mass, uh, appeal to the people of Jharkhand that they have to save democracy, and they may vote anybody, but they have not to vote BJP's decisive politics. And BJP also tried to, actually, there were nothing much with BJP. Actually, they had a core ideology of land jihad, love jihad, and the other things, and they wanted to penetrate from that narrative of land jihad, and especially in 7 districts of Jharkhand, where the Muslim population and the tribal population stay together. They wanted desperately a kind of riot so that they could just build up their narrative, and that is how they could just penetrate, because this 28 tribal seats were a kind of problem for them, and the whole narrative was set, around that, and that's why. When they could not penetrate, they have lost these elections, and there are other more things also. One
Sure.
of the points my friend said that recently they changed, the Congress people in Jharkhand, they changed their state president Rajesh Thakur to Keso Mato. He's a backward caste people. So majority of the Congress leadership actually is up in the hands of the upper caste. That's why the Congress is not able to just penetrate into the other communities actually. So the narrative of caste census of Rahul Gandhi is if he doesn't work on this sincerely, it will become a kind of problem for him, because it was Congress which opposed caste census till 2011, and UPA too. Actually, they conducted a kind of survey, but they never revealed the data. So if
Yeah.
they will not be honest to it, they will lose this narrative also, because this narrative doesn't belong to them. So they have to be honest enough to just penetrate into the marginalized communities of the country, actually OBC, SCS, and STs. So
All
it's
right.
high time
Yes.
that they must
Yeah.
act on their ideology and their politics, actually.
Absolutely. So, a lot of takeaways for Congress over there. And as Puneet said, that the party is emerging as one of the weakest links where it's piggy riding on the regional parties. And so, lots of lessons for Congress. But Professor Shashi Shekhar Singh, I'll come for the concluding comments. Looking at now I'll want you to comment basically that Haryana elections, then after that, now we've completed the Maharashtra and the Jharkhand elections. Now, what do you think is going to be the direction for the BJP and also for the India alliance? Because the momentum, of course, favors BJP. Prime Minister Modi, of course, will be seen flexing his muscles. He'll come out as a stronger leader. That's how BJP is going to project. But what is going to happen to the India alliance now?
Of course, there is a problem for the India alliance, and of course, the India alliance led by Congress, because Congress is in trouble. if you look at the strike rate of Congress, both in Maharashtra and even in, Jharkhand, Congress could not improve its striking rate in Jharkhand, as other, friends have already mentioned here. And in Maharashtra, it's very poor striking rate for the Congress. So in that situation, nearly 101 seats Congress was contesting, and just 18 or 19 seats, So you look at the performance of the Congress and the striking rate. So it's very poor. And definitely it is very problematic for the India alliance too at the same time. But I want to say one more thing also. One, if you look at Jharkhand, where Hemant Soren has retained the power, because he played even the victim card very, very, handsomely. Because Kalpana Soren, when he was behind the bar, even Kalpana Soren was going to the people, and raising these questions, what is happening to his, husband. And both of them worked very hard when Hemant Soren came out from the prison. And as mentioned one of the, friends, Congress did not, work that much hard, even in Jharkhand. That's very problematic. So, it's the victory of Hemant Soren and, of course, the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. Again, if you remember, even at the same time, one of the, tribal leaders, Champai Soren, he was the, chief minister when, Hemant Soren behind the bar. And even then, he defected from the, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha to BJP just before election. So even then, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha retained power and improved seat tally. That's a very important part. But at the same time, in Maharashtra, if you look at as I mentioned, the striking rate of Congress is very poor. And even many of the friends from Maharashtra who are very much worried about the, election in Maharashtra were telling earlier that Congress is not doing that hard work which is required in Maharashtra. Okay. So, yes, I can say that what happened wrong with the, India since the Lok Sabha election. There are many, regions can be mentioned here. But at the same time, what I'm trying to say, why don't you see what BJP and the other, alliance partners of the Mahayuti were doing? What they have done, great. Something like, this Yojana or that Yojana, what is the actually great achievement of the, Mahayuti during this period? And that is even in Haryana. So that's the question. So the point is, whatever opposition will do, even improve, whatever the way they are, trying to connect with the people. But unless you check the whatever the mischievous role and manipulation and management of the election by the BJP, you cannot stop BJP. That's a big question. And the Congress and the other, opposition party has to raise this question before the masses. Let the people know the reality. Let the people know the facts about the, result. Unless you go to the people, and at the same time, I also want to say that Congress has to focus on the organization. The organization of Congress is very weak. And therefore, the dependency of the Congress to the leaders in the states, that's a problem, because the leaders are completely disconnected with the people. That the senior leaders are completely disconnected with the people, and therefore, if Congress has to bring some result in future and to check the such kind of fascist regime in the center, at the same time many of the states, Congress has to work very hard. Of course, Rahul Gandhi is doing well, but unless you make the organization strong, who at least at the ground level, who will work? It's not the top leaders. In democracy, generally it is the demagogues and the charismatic leader may bring some result without organization. What Indira Gandhi did, if you remember 1971 election. But Indira Gandhi was in power at that time. Rahul Gandhi is not in even power, and even Rahul is not that much charismatic. Of course, he is working hard. So let him, think. Let's sit together, whosoever the young leaders, and having the connect with the people and raising the issues of the people, at the ground level. That can help Congress to make the Congress and, of course, India alliance stronger. Otherwise, It's a very sorry state of affair. Thank you.
So BJP surely is now again unstoppable. Just remember when we were discussing the result day live on 4th of June, when the results came and we said that, look, what has happened to BJP's mandate. And here BJP is again back winning Haryana and a brute mandate, which it has got in Maharashtra. So we'll have to wait and watch whether any lessons are learned by Congress. What are the big takeaways for the India Alliance? Whether at all the parties take all this seriously. And because now the next election, of course, is Delhi, which is scheduled in February, and after that is Bihar. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. But for now, I'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Professor Shashi Shekhar Singh, Professor Yadav, Puneet, Raj Lakshmi. It was wonderful having all of you on the program. And please subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.